He came to the cafe every day at the same hour, always ordered a black coffee, no sugar, and sat by the window. She knew his habits by heart. The way he adjusted the sleeves of the sweater, how he sighed when it rained, how he looked at his phone like he was waiting for something long lost. Her name was Lika. She worked as a barista and had quietly fallen in love with this silent stranger. He had no idea. To him, she was just another part of the scenery, like the smell of coffee or the rustle of book pages. One day, she gathered the courage, brought him his coffee with a heart drawn in milk foam. He looked at the cup, smiled politely, and said nothing. She waited. Days passed. He kept coming, sipping his coffee, sometimes writing in his notebook. And Lika's heart ached each time she saw him smiling at a message on his phone, something not meant for her. One evening, he didn't come, nor the next day, nor the next. She didn't know his name, didn't know where to find him. All that remained was the silence between them, that never grew into something more. Weeks passed. The cafe returned to its rhythm. Morning rush, the midday lull, the softness of life continuing. But for Lika, something had shifted. There was an emptiness in the corner by the window, like a chapter left unfinished. She kept glancing at the door, hoping, foolishly. The heart, after all, does not let go easily. One rainy afternoon, a familiar coat passed the window. Her breath caught, but it wasn't him. She smiled at customers. She made perfect lattes. She laughed at jokes. But inside, she held a quiet ache for a story that was only hers, for a connection that never came to be. Sometimes she wondered what she would have said if he'd ever looked at her, really looked. Would she have told him about the way she watched him write, or how she memorized his frown when the world outside was gray? But life does not always offer the moment. Sometimes it simply passes by, silent, unnoticed, like two strangers in the same room with hearts beating for different things. And so she moved on, not with grand goodbye, not with tears, but with quiet acceptance, because not all love is meant to be shared. Some loves are like shadows, always present, always fading. Spring arrived quietly. The sun returned, spilling warmth onto the cobbled streets and blooming balconies. The cafe filled with new faces, new voices. Lika smiled more easily now. She had learned to live with the ache, like an old song you no longer cry to, but still remember every word. One late afternoon, just as she was wiping the counter, the door opened, and for a heartbeat, time froze. It was him, older, perhaps more tired. The same coat, the same quiet presence. He looked around as if unsure what he was searching for, until his eyes met hers. A pause. He stepped forward, hesitant. "Hi," he said. "Do you remember me?" Her heart thudded, but her voice was calm. "Yes. Black coffee, no sugar. Window seat." He smiled, and for the first time, it reached his eyes. They didn't speak much. She brought his coffee, no heart in the foam this time, just warmth. He sat in his old spot, looking out the window, then down at the notebook he had brought with him. Before leaving, he approached the counter again. "I used to come here because it felt peaceful. I didn't realize someone was watching me with such kindness." Lika met his gaze, unsure what to say. He handed her a page, torn from his notebook. "I wrote something. A story. You're in it, I think. Or maybe someone like you." She held the paper, hands slightly trembling. He turned to leave. "Will you come back tomorrow?" she asked, before she could stop herself. He paused and nodded. "If you want me to." This time, she smiled, truly smiled. And for the first time, the silence between them didn't feel so empty. The next day, he returned. And the next. Days melted into weeks, and their quiet rhythm began again. But something had changed. They talked now. Not much. Just fragments. Books he was reading. Her childhood in a small coastal town. The way the city smelled after rain. It was never loud between them. Their connection lived in the pauses, in glances held too long, in shared smiles over nothing at all. One evening, as the sky turned violet, he waited until her shift ended. They walked together, slowly, like they were still learning the shape of this new closeness. I used to write about loneliness, he said. Now, she asked. He looked at her. Now I write about hope. She didn't reply, only slip her hand into his, soft, uncertain, but there. But life, as it often does, had its own plans. He stopped coming again. This time, no warning, no goodbye, only silence, familiar, unwelcome, final. Weeks passed. She read his page over and over again. It told a story of a girl behind the counter and a man who never noticed, until it was too late. One morning, she received a letter. No return address, just her name, and inside, another story. It ended with, "If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I left not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Not all stories end with forever. But know this. In a quiet cafe in the rhythm of ordinary days, you gave someone a reason to believe again." Tears slipped silently down her cheeks. She folded the paper, pressed it to her heart, and smiled through the ache. Love, she realized, doesn't always stay. But sometimes it arrives just long enough to change you. And sometimes that is enough